Dimitri. Our panel is in English, as far as I remember. So good day, dear participants and guests of our panel discussion. My name is Maria Lemiza, and I am the founder of international outsourcing company SMAR, specializing in accounting services in Belarus, Poland, and very soon in America and Cyprus. And also I'm the author of the book Outsourcing the Art of Delegation. The topic of our discussion today is a B2B perspective on Belarusian IT sector in Poland. As of September 2023, there were nearly 6,000 companies with Belarusian capital operating in Poland. Half of them are trading and logistics companies. Second place, to construction companies, and only 9% of IT sector companies, and much less 110 companies which provided consulting services, 38 accounting firms, and 12 legal firms in Poland with Belarusian capital. Transition to a different business environment can be accompanied by language barriers, differences in legislation, taxation, as well as the need to adapt to local culture. Organizations face new competitive conditions, interactions with local partners, and recruitment challenges. The adoption period plays a crucial role in this period. At the beginning of this stage, companies may change strategies, familiarize themselves with local peculiarities, and form sustainable business processes. After adaptation, organizations often change their approach to work, and assimilating in a new business environment and interacting more effectively with local partners and clients. So today we will discuss how adaptation process went for B2B Belarusian companies and how the Polish market participants received their competitors in our discussion with our participants. But before we start our discussion, let me introduce our participant, Łukasz Kwietniak, senior negotiator, Cushman. So, yeah, I think we need a senior negotiator, Cushman & Wakefield Polska Limited Liability Company. Łukasz has over 15 years of experience in sales and business development. He specializes in building long-term business relationships with dedication and understanding of client needs. He is able to find optimal solution in the shortest possible time. Michał Klimowicz, legal expert from Krida Legal. He is a well-known legal expert from Krida Legal, a leading law firm in Poland. He specializes in various aspects of corporate and commercial law, including mergers and acquisitions, corporate governance, financial law, and arbitration. And Lidia Rashkova, partner and head of tax. She's a partner and head of tax and corporate practice at ILG Legal. Lidia worked as in-house lawyer, as head of a legal department in such market leaders at Alutech and Artox. She worked as a general counsel in the international law firm Peterka & Partners, parent office in Czech. And since 2016, she has been running her own law business. Her law firm in Belarus, Business Advisors, was included in the International Legal 500 and IFLR 1000 rankings. And Alexander Kerstein, managing partner at Swan Lake Capital. Alexander has 20 years of experience and M&A, mergers and acquisition, strategic consulting and fundraising. He specializes in IT, EdTech, and health tech sectors. So let's now start our discussion. And I have the first question to all of our participants related the differences in negotiating with Belarusian clients compared with other ones. What surprises or distinguishes their approach to real estate rental, to legal services, or maybe with some consulting services? So maybe Łukasz, you will be first.
Okay. Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be here. Great to see so many brave people. And getting to the point, the differences. We're not so different, so
I hope.
First answer would be no, there are no differences. But the longer I was thinking about it and reminding myself of the experience with negotiating with companies, some of them I see today in the audience. What hits me first is the Belarusian business are more diligent and more patient for how much time it takes to understand the reality they're in. They're moving from Minsk to Warsaw. The situation is really different in many ways, but in the business way, there are different terms, different rules apply, different players are playing the game here. And Belarusian negotiators always like to step back, listen to the advices, go maybe ask some other agency, and when they find the reason to talk with you, they will stick with you till the end of the process and far more. And this is I think the most important from the very beginning, that they're trying to not only do the transaction but to build a relation, to get to know the place they're building their new business. So this is the main difference.
Okay, so you mean that other clients don't want to build this long-term relationship, or you mean that Belarusian clients, for example, try to find several experts at the first stage, and then
they're taking more time to understand the game they're playing. So they don't rush in. They take their time. They think about the decision, and when they make the decision, they stick to it. And then we, of course, negotiate the other things, but choosing the advisor, which I think is the most important case in building your anchor, dropping the anchor in Warsaw, for example, or in Wrocław, whatever. Then when they trust you, they will follow you. So they're not running. Some companies from the other regions are talking to many advisors. They're talking themselves to the landlord, for example, and it's creating a bit of chaos. So in this way, the Belarusian companies are more mature, I think.
Great. What do you think, Michal?
Of course, as we said, the culture in general is very similar. But what strikes me, the difference which strikes me, is we have well-developed business framework in Poland, and I think that we have regulated we are regulated in many ways. And what difference is that I often see by my clients from Belarus that they tend to try to conduct some contacts with authorities in more informal way, which is not common now in Poland, because we try to do it in regulated. I mean, not try. We have to do it in a regulated way, of course. And what is connected with that is risk taking. One of my clients told me that in their business action they try to be small and try to be invisible for the state in order not to be disturbed by the state. And I think that this is the part of risk taking which you can take when you are not afraid that maybe there will be so many, for example, tax control or authorities control. Of course, I know that this changed during last years in Belarus, because there were big changes introduced after 2010, I think, together with the establishing of new businesses and relations with the authorities. But still, in case you have the competition in the state actors, and it's more difficult than when you can, you don't have to think about that. Also, what is important, I think, from this cultural thing is that we tend to decentralize the control over the process, and I see that clients from Belarus. They, from my experience, there is head of operation, for example. There is a boss which we should talk with, and not the the hierarchy is very strong in this process. And I see that in Poland we decentralize the process. So sometimes it's important to know that when, for example, I'm not the head of my law company, but I act as my law company, and sometimes this is the clients tend to feel disrespected because I'm not the head of the company. So this is important to know that this is some process, and this is the common way of conducting business.
What Michał said is, I think, that
it's very interesting.
Very interesting and important that the hierarchy and the formality, especially at the beginning, is very important. So you have the boss, you have the head, you have the people at the operational level, and not necessarily they will talk to each other. So if the boss says, "This is my decision," that's it. So you have to follow that decision. There's no place for inside negotiation. It is more common than Western style.
And this makes the process more formal. In case we negotiate something, this is more formal because still the decision maker is in a person of the head of the company, and it's much more difficult to discuss something after the meeting, and to just make it less formal, to get to the point. And when the meeting is when the proceedings in more formal way, it's less space for the let's say open and very direct discussion. What do you want? I mean, okay, we can negotiate whole day, but what do you want?
One more thing.
Yeah, that's great. Lydia, maybe you can share your opinion on differences.
I would like also say some words about the differences. So at first I would like to praise our Belarusian companies and say that they are extremely law-abiding, and they are very good acquisition for the Polish economy, because they used to run their business very correctly, and very often they turn to the consultants for giving some information and to make sure that they meet all the requirements of the legislation. So the first point, they are very independent, and used to rely only on themselves. Their main message is just leave us alone and don't disturb us in growing our business. And this is very surprising for them, that state and the government help to develop business, because in Belarus is not so for business. Yes. Among some difficulties that I can mention when they work with Polish consultants, I can mention that Polish colleagues used to work in a more predictable, slower manner. All our clients need everything almost yesterday. Always. They want to have answers today about what was yesterday. This one difficult situation. And the second, as I think, it is in some manner difficult for them that Polish legislation is very complicated, have a lot of the details, and it is very difficult for them when these details are explained for them in different language, for example in English or in Polish. This is the second difficult.
Language barriers, yes, of course. That's why it's great that now you are in the market and can, translate. That's why it would be my next question. We will ask Alexander about opinion, about differences, and then go to the next question.
Thank you, Masha. Let me tell you a little bit about mergers and acquisitions sector where we are working. So in my view, even Poland and Belarus are quite culturally similar countries. M&A sector is quite different. Of course, Polish M&A sector is much more advanced. There are hundreds of deals in Poland each year, hundreds probably of companies which help to do M&A, very good lawyers up to really European world standards. In Belarus, of course, there are also good lawyers, but unfortunately some of them leaving Belarus for Poland. Yeah, so in my view, if we work, for example, with Belarusian quite a big company sometimes for an M&A deal, most of the time we tell what to do to the owners and management, and we teach sometimes companies how to do M&A deal. In Poland, sometimes we also work with Polish companies. Usually it's difficult to teach Polish companies. Even management can teach you sometimes. So I see, of course, Polish companies are more advanced. And also I would like to tell you a little bit about IT. Our company works with hundreds of European private equity and venture capital funds. In Poland, there's a lot of funds actually, like at least several dozen big funds and a lot of small funds. And in my view, Poland, it's probably the best country for Belarusian IT companies to talk and to work with private equity and VC funds and to raise money and to find partners. Maybe it's because Belarus and Poland are really quite similar countries and culture is really kind of similar, because when we talk, especially now in these difficult years, war years I would say, let's say to Baltic funds or to some Western European funds, it's much more difficult to convince management of owners of funds to work with Belarusian company, even if it's, I would say, kind of half European company. But in Poland, in my view, Poland is the best country to talk to private equity or VC fund about cooperation with Belarus.
So that's great. So my next question, like to continue our discussion, will be if Michal, do you feel any like changes in the local service legal service market when such big technology companies came to the market, like EPAM, for example, or Playtika, IT Hard, and do you feel like demand in legal services from these Belarusian companies?
Sure, they are active players. I can see that they are seeking for assistance, legal assistance, for example, from my part of the market, and of course they are very active players. So I can see that they are not only active, but they also tries to take the good players from the Polish market in order to have for example, very good legal services, and they are very demanding in that. And I think that the companies which you mentioned are on the very, from my perspective, they are very well developed, and they are very professional in what they do. I think that. And part of their success is to understand that they understand the market, and that the things which we discuss here now, the differences, they understand the differences and or overcome them or make them their advantages.
Okay, so that's great. And now I have a question to Lydia, because when we are talking about differences, and this adaptation, because both clients came through this adaptation process, and as well as B2B companies, consulting companies, my company by itself also came through this process. So I would like to ask you, how do you manage to found your niche there, and what strategies and approaches were used to successfully integrate it in your business environment?
Yes, so we are experienced lawyers, and our law firm in Belarus were in international legal rankings such as Legal 500 and the FLR 1000. Established our office in Poland some time ago, and immediately began to work very actively. Of course, our rapid growth is connected with the active relocation of IT companies from Belarus, and our first clients were our international clients with whom we work in Belarus. So they asked us to relocate their offices, their employees, and to register a company here in Poland, and then to continue providing legal support for them. For their activity here in Poland. Of course, because of our good reputation in legal market of Belarus, all our partners, colleagues and friends from Belarus, from Ukraine, from other countries recommend us as a very reliable provider of legal services in Poland. So it was very hard for us for the first time to look for employees, to look for experts in Polish legislation, to study Polish law and the implementation of law here in Poland. But we managed to do it, we cope, and we relaunched our legal firm here in Poland, and now we successfully work on Polish legal market, and we have an estimate number of employees. We have offices in Warsaw and Gdańsk, and we think that each third IT company from Belarus are our clients here in Poland. We will try to develop and grow.
Yeah, so it sounds really impressive. That's why maybe you can tell us about your plans here on Polish market. What are you planning to do to strengthen your position and expand your services in Polish market?
Yes, of course, we have very great plans for the future. So we would like to become the legal firm number one for Belarusian IT companies here in Poland. So we try to expand our expertise. All our employees constantly studying at leading Polish universities now. So we expand our practices. Now we are involved in law, in tax law. And so we think that it is very important for Belarusian company to pay taxes correctly here in Poland. I'm now studying at the Warsaw School of Economic. I study tax law here. And I'm planning to receive a certificate of tax consultants because I would like to explain to our Russian-speaking clients all the complicated details of the Polish tax legislation in their native language. This is very important for them, I think. So the other point is that we plan not to limit only on Belarusian companies, and we try to work with another Russian-speaking companies here in Poland. For example, the companies from Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and other companies. We think that our experience and expertise will be very useful for them. Now we have several active working practice in our law firm. This is corporate practice, contract practice, IT and IB practice, M&A. The practice of legalization and labor law. Now we try to involve in big M&A projects, and we think that we could do these projects in cooperation with our Polish colleagues. So we are open to cooperation and partnership. Our clients trust us, and last year we have a practice of some big M&A projects, and we work with Polish colleagues in these projects, and it was very positive practice for us. Now we are thinking always about establishing offices in other European countries, because almost now we receive requests from our clients in some legal issues, not only in Poland but in other countries in Europe. And I think this is, we will think about it. And go ahead. We have a lot of interesting work ahead, and we will try to achieve our goals.
Yeah, okay, sounds really impressive, and thank you very much. And but I have a question regarding your plans and to be the first law firm which consult IT companies. So now I have a question, very, very complicated one to me. How you access the competition from Belarusian and Ukrainian law firms here in Poland? Do you see any opportunities or challenges in the law market in Poland?
Well, to be honest, not yet. I mean, I think that it's coming as I can see, but not. At the moment we don't observe it yet. I mean, of course, it's much easier for the clients from the Belarus to get the law company which is also from the same origin. I mean, it's much easier. But any competition is, as always, is good. But as I said, we do not observe that the market is divided yet. I mean, we are local players. We are from here, so it's in general it's easier to have the advice from the local player. I mean, and it's normal. Yes, I think that more time will pass, and then we will observe that we have to, for example, learn a language or go for some to get the country better.
Yeah. Yeah, this great direction. So Russian is not so complicated as you think, I think. So Alexander, Lydia just mentioned about M&A, deals that they had. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about M&A situation in Belarus right now, how you assess their demand and supply, because I think that now people want more sell than buy. So can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you, Masha. About M&A market in Belarus, of course it's probably a really small niche market compared to Poland, and of course last few years were extraordinary for that market. Before the war, of course, we had a lot of European companies from Poland also buying companies in Belarus. Maybe less in IT sector. Polish companies were not so active, for example, in IT sector, mostly like food processing, packaging, pharma, furniture. And now, of course, we have completely different situation. Most of European companies, of course, they don't want to buy anything, but I cannot say that everyone wants to exit Belarus. Maybe situation is more kind of quiet in Belarus than in Russia, and most of, I would say, European companies still earn some money in Belarus. So in my view, only maybe 1/4 of companies from Europe really want to exit Belarus. And I would say even companies which want to exit still want to get good money for their shares, especially Polish companies. We talked to many Polish companies, pretty large one, and I don't remember even one Polish company, or let's say similar, let's say Baltic or German company, which wants to sell a company in Belarus for kind of peanuts. So Polish companies are pretty tough in that regard. But still there are some deals, of course, for example, I know in some manufacturing sectors, I would say situation in Belarus is not so bad as everyone probably expected in 2022. So economy is doing more or less great, I would say, even sometimes better than many European countries. So manufacturing companies have sometimes good profits now, and they want to be sold for fair multiples. So, and now we see compared to what was happening in 22, maybe beginning of 23, I see better multiples in Belarus, really, in manufacturing and maybe sometimes service sectors. Multiples are not maybe as high as in Europe. Let's say if in Europe FMCG company would be worth, let's say, 7 to 8 times, maybe 10 times if it's a good one, EBITDA. In Belarus it would be like 5 or 6, maybe 5. But during 22, it was really impossible to sell anything in Belarus because there was very low demand. Of course, government has some restrictions. You need to pay taxes and you need to follow a lot of bureaucratic procedure. But in general, in my opinion, if European company wants to finally exit Belarus, there are good chances they can do it, especially using good lawyers and advisors. In IT sector, I see some difference between in IT sector, if you have a big IT company, let's say Belarusian top 10 IT company, usually most of these companies divided business on western part of business and I would say Belarusian part of business or Belarusian former Soviet part of business. So if you divide, already made decision and divide your company, potentially you have two different companies. So Western company, if it's really European or international company, sometimes it can reach European multiples. If it's a Belarusian company working, say, in former Soviet Union, mostly, I would say also multiples are better now because it's a different market, but probably if it's a good company growing, you can still reach like pre-war multiples. Yeah. So I would say this year, end of last year and this year probably, it will be a good time to sell IT company in Belarus, especially if you made decision to somehow separate your business, Western and Belarusian part.
Okay, so as far as I understood, can there be M&A deals with Belarusian companies here in Europe? Maybe you can mention some factors and conditions which can contribute to such deals for companies with Belarusian capital. And maybe you can tell us about some recent deals, M&A?
I think, yes, so if you want to have a M&A deal with, let's say, Polish strategic investor or fund in IT sector, for example, in my opinion, most of Polish funds will consider your company as Polish or European if you have, let's say, 50% people or close to 50% at least outside of Belarus. If you're a large one. If it's startups, it's a different story because startups, it's kind of no one knows who lives in which country, of course. Yeah, but if you're quite a big company and you have Western clients, probably Polish investors or European investors will talk to you only if you have half of the company outside of Belarus, and otherwise probably you will not have many buyers from Europe. This is about IT companies, but yes, it's possible. So more or less, you know, IT companies, it's a really unique sector in M&A because you don't have physical presence, you don't have factories in Belarus, you don't have many clients usually in Belarus, so it depends where are your clients or where are your people located. Yeah, so, and now it's easier, so I see the bottom of the market is probably in IT sector in multiples behind us in 23. Now NASDAQ and other Western markets are in pretty good shape. In IT sector is probably behind the low numbers, and more or less it's a good time for consolidation. Yeah. So if you, the only thing, let's say European funds, they stopped looking at outsourcing companies probably a year ago. So before 23, it was more or less easy to talk to European funds about outsourcing. As soon as you have, let's say, half of the people outside of Belarus, you could have investors. Now, I don't remember last maybe year, any good European private equity fund who ever asked about outsourcing company regardless of how many people you have in which country. So if you still have IT outsourcing, you need to think twice, and you need to somehow restructure a company, because who knows, maybe, you know, in Poland there was also, I think, 10 years ago, a lot of outsourcing companies. Now I don't think there is many outsourcing in Poland, so it's good time to kind of to reinvent yourself. But I cannot say there is a lot of M&A deals probably with Belarusian companies, because market has very low valuations last year, and not just Belarusian but European also. But I think this year probably will be a better one, because what I see, valuations are coming up, and Belarusian IT companies are somehow more or less decided what to do. So I see probably this year is better than last one.
That's a great point. That this year is going to be better than the last one, and that's why I have another question to Lukasz. What trends do you observe among your current clients from Belarus in terms of long-term real estate rental strategy? How do they plan their long-term development, and do they see the need for geographic expansion of their operations? Of course, we're not talking about M&A, just their plans.
Thank you, Maria. But that question follows perfectly what just Alexander said, because the two main differences I see from my perspective, from my experience. First, there are companies who are trying to build their existence of the entity in Polish market, and they are searching for something different, something more flexible. They don't always want to sign for 7 or 10 years the lease contract. They're trying to establish their business in Poland. That's one. And the second leg, let's say, of the business is what Alexander said, the western parts of the Belarusian companies, which, to my very surprise, last year as I started to cooperate more with the companies, they are worldwide. They are big companies. They are like Microsoft or IBM. I didn't know those names because I was not in this business, but they are in the States, they are in London, they are in Europe. So they are thinking more about building those long-term relationships. So if they want to find the office, employ some people, and build the operation to the clients, mostly in the States or in the western part of Europe, they are signing a long-term contracts and building the relationships. And that goes for the companies who are already existing in the worldwide business, but that goes for the small or new companies as well. They are aspiring, they are very courageous, so if they see a chance to develop, when they feel safe in Poland, and I hope the country will give more support and create a good environment for the Belarus business, because it's outstanding. And they are brave enough to sign for 5 years, for 7 years, to go to the different countries, to go to the different cities first, because they're starting in, let's say, Warsaw, we're developing good, they're thinking about maybe we should hire somebody in Wrocław or Tri-City, and they usually follow up with the same advisor and with the same long-term relationship they started before.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we have to finish, unfortunately, and maybe.
But the short answer is yes.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good to hear. Yeah, I'm very sorry that we need to stop our discussion, and maybe someone has some questions from our guests. I think we are able to answer only on one. If anybody. If not, we would like to summarize and to give small pieces of advice how to safeguard yourself from unfavorable partnership here in Poland. And Michał, the floor is yours to give some recommendations.
Thank you. Please excuse me because this might sound very basic, but from my experience, from my legal experience, this is some basic tips which everyone knows, but in my practice I see, maybe not every day, but every week, very, very poor written agreements with the clients, and So I know that you know everything like that, but then when it comes to signing the contract, many people forget at the moment that they should look for that. So first is, for example, for look at the billing methods and how the remuneration of your, for example, service provider, legal office. We love to bill by the time spent. So we love to bill on based on the hours which we spend on our services. But this is something which you cannot predict. So always try to cap the time which can be spent on the project, or agree on the lump sum remuneration, so you can predict the remuneration for services or the price. And also, which is important, and is also many times missed by many clients, is the external costs. It's never included in the price. So in case there is some kind of translation, official certification required, or fees which may be substantial in some part, please don't forget to ask about that, and then try to get the prediction from the firm which you are cooperating. And second thing is, please try to include within the agreement as detailed scope of services as possible, because you can think that you agreed on something, but if it's not in writing, then it's difficult to enforce it later. And you can of course say that, come on, we agreed on something, but then after, for example, 1 or 2 years, you look at the agreement, it's not there. And maybe you talked with the salesperson, and now you are talking with someone, some other person in the company, and they have no idea what you're talking about. And if it's not in writing, then it's not binding. And the third and I think the most important thing is look for the trusted advisor. And it sounds difficult, but it's not. First, recommendation. Get the recommendation from other party. For example, if you are a company from Belarus and you are looking for legal services, ask any other Belarus player in Poland. It's easy. And I'm sure that if you call them and ask, sorry, I'm just looking for advice, I'm entering the Polish market and I need some trusted advisor, can you recommend someone? It's easy, and I'm sure that nobody will deny the answer. And also remember that it's good to have any lawyer than no lawyer. I mean, this is not environment which you grew up in. It's a different legal and market environment. There are many changes. It's difficult to get it. For me, for example, I do corporate because it's only corporate, because it's difficult to get changes, for example, in real estate, in litigation, and it's impossible for, I think that it's impossible for you to do business and take care about accounting, tax, and legal, especially not only in Belarus, but also in Poland, which is not the country which you know. So ask for recommendation, and in case there is no recommendation, try to get maybe some legal 500 rankings. This is more of the expensive side maybe, but then surely I get the calls from clients asking that they don't have the budget for us at the moment, but can we recommend someone who can take care of them? And this is also very important for me, because now I give the advice for any recommendation for example, small legal office. But I hope that by giving the trusted advisor to someone, maybe we can meet in 5 years when the business grows. Yeah?
And just one thing to add, for me, I every time tell to our client, please, before signing the contract, think how you will live out. It's very important, always think how you will live out in any deals what you are making. So on this now, we will finish our panel. I am